I once thought that my life was going in the right direction. A good job, fulfilling social relationships, small achievements that everyone considers a measure of a stable life. I went to work every day, laughed and talked with colleagues, attended weekend parties, and sometimes comforted myself that I was happy. But then, amid the steady rhythm of life, like a programmed machine, a quiet question appeared: who am I? At first, I thought it was just a fleeting thought, a moment of being lost in the flow of life. But no, it clung to me, smoldering like a fire burning at night, consuming every idea, every habit I still held on to. Everything around me gradually became dull. Empty conversations, polite smiles, the expectations I tried to meet, all like a mask covering a raw truth inside. I felt like an actor playing a role on the stage of life, without knowing what the play meant, nor who the audience was. I wondered, if I cast aside all roles, child, friend, colleague, successful person, what would remain here? What remains of me besides a vast emptiness, an echo with no response? I began to look back at every moment, every choice in life. I realized I had lived by existing molds, chasing goals drawn by others, without once stopping to listen to what I really wanted. It was all just a shell of ego, a false identification with things that were not really me. And the question, who am I, is not just a philosophical question, but a sacred fire burning all illusions, all concepts of the self I once believed in. I began to see more clearly the impermanent nature of everything. Achievements, fame, social status, all will eventually vanish like foam on the ocean. I saw myself as small, but not in a degrading sense, rather as part of a much larger whole. I am not my name, profession, or social role, but a flow of consciousness, continuously arising and passing away in each moment. The ego I cling to is just an illusion, a product of a mind trapped by desire and fear. I began to let go, not letting go of everything external, but letting go of identification with labels, roles, and expectations. I practiced observing thoughts as they come and go like clouds in the sky, no longer chasing or avoiding them. I accepted impermanence, accepted even moments of being lost, because I understood that is also part of the journey back to myself. And I began to feel a calmness, a simple peace, not because I found the answer, but because I learned to live with the question, who am I, as a companion on the path back to the true heart. I close my eyes, quietly amidst the bustling crowd, the ceaseless noise of the streets, and the hurried pace of life sweeping away each passing moment. A slow breath, then another. I listen to the beat of my heart, slow, weary, as if for so long it has not been the sound of life, but merely the mechanical rhythm of an endless cycle. My life has become a stage where I wear masks: the dutiful child, the loyal friend, the dedicated colleague, the exemplary citizen performing the roles that society expects of me. I smile when I should, bow when needed, act strong when called for, and appear weak when seeking shelter. But have I ever truly been myself? The relationships around me have gradually become superficial. conversations reduced to cold exchanges of information, and glances reflecting only distance and unfamiliarity. I drift through each day as if floating down a river, pushed and pulled by waves, surrounded by invisible walls of judgment, standards, and expectations. Life seems dull, colorless, devoid of meaning. And in that moment, the question arises not from anyone else, but from deep within me. Who am I? A simple question, yet it feels like a fire burning away all illusions, all labels, all roles I have worn. I look at myself not through a mirror, not through the eyes of others, but with the eyes of a long-forgotten soul. I sense a vague fear, fear of emptiness, fear of being no one, fear of losing what I thought was important. Yet, within the stillness of a breath, I realize the ego I cling to, the labels I collect, they are but bubbles, fleeting reflections on the surface of a pond. I am not the roles I play, not the achievements I gather, not the relationships I hold, nor the expectations of others. I am the one observing all of that, the quiet witness to everything that comes and goes, the one who feels joy and sorrow as clouds drifting across the sky, the one who knows that this life is impermanent, marked by suffering, and devoid of a separate self. In that moment, I let go, not abandoning life, but releasing the illusion of who I thought I was. I am no longer a machine serving society's expectations. I am no longer defined by what I do or what I own. I am simply presence, a breath, a heartbeat, a quiet observer in the flow of life. And in that letting go, I find freedom. Freedom is not escape, but facing fear, facing emptiness, facing the dissolution of the ego, and realizing that I do not need to be anyone at all. I just need to be. I have walked a long path through books of philosophy, through the depths of Buddhist teachings, through nights spent in silent meditation, as the sound of the wooden bell echoed and the chants rose like wisps of incense smoke. I tried so hard to become a new person, a kind person, a responsible person, someone who forgives easily, someone who is wise. I labeled myself with these titles as if they were a shield against the storms of life. But when faced with challenges, every definition shattered like a thin glaze on an old, cracked vase. A single criticism, a minor failure, a fleeting glance of indifference from someone else was enough to make me feel completely empty-handed. Sadness surged, disappointment arose, anger erupted, and I realized everything I thought I was, all the efforts to define myself, were nothing more than a fragile layer. My ego, the I clung to, was merely a sequence of automatic reactions, happy when praised, sad when criticized, desperate to protect an image of myself, elated when admired. Every action, no matter how noble it appeared, concealed a hidden desire to be acknowledged, to be loved, to be seen as right, as good. When I began to look directly at this ego like staring into an unflinching mirror, I saw the falseness of all the roles I had taken on. The kind person, the responsible one, the knowledgeable one. All of them were temporary masks, created to satisfy fear and desire within. And then, a strange feeling arose, dissolving, a vast emptiness. I no longer knew who I was. The self I clung to had crumbled. There was no refuge left, no concept to hold on to. A sense of disorientation enveloped me, but at the same time, there was a profound stillness, a strange peace. I felt like a drop of water dissolving into the ocean. No more boundaries, no more names, no more definitions. I began to realize all searching, all efforts to assert myself were just the ego's game, and letting go was the only doorway to true freedom. When I no longer needed to become anyone, I could finally be fully, completely at peace in the ever-changing flow of life. I once sought answers in the pages of books, in the teachings of the ancients, in the silent hours of meditation. I yearned to follow what was deemed right, to become a kind person, a responsible person, someone devoted to others. I adorned myself with these beautiful labels, believing that they were enough, that they defined who I was. Yet, when faced with challenges, all these definitions shattered. What I believed in, what I tried to uphold, what I thought was me, all of it faded, like a mist dissolving in the morning sun. I saw clearly that nothing was truly real. The so-called self was nothing more than a patchwork of images, a collection of memories, emotions, and roles I had once played. Even the virtues I longed for, no matter how noble, were impermanent. Kind today, but who knows tomorrow? Responsible now, but will I remain so when storms arise? I began to understand that everything is merely an appearance, that nothing lasts forever. What I thought was me was only a fleeting reflection, a wisp of smoke drifting through the impermanent world. When I let go of the need to define who I am, I touched a profound sense of freedom. There was no need to strain to become someone, no need to chase after any image. I was simply the unfolding of life itself, a ceaseless flow without a name. I learned to observe things as they are without labels, without judgment, without attachment. In that stillness, the world became vaster, clearer, and I felt myself dissolve into it. I no longer needed to know who I was, because every definition was just a game of the mind. All I needed was to live, to awaken in each moment, and let life guide itself. I sit in stillness, my breath steady, closing my eyes, releasing every tension in the body. In that quiet space, I turn my gaze inward to the place where emotions arise, to the place where the ego has long taken residence, and slowly I begin to see its operations clearly. The ego, this self of mine, is nothing more than a series of repeated reactions: joy when praised, sorrow when criticized, impatience when unrecognized, fear when judged, and an endless striving to protect a carefully crafted image of myself in the eyes of others. All these roles I have played for so long without realizing, as if they were truly me. But now, as I truly look at them, I see the artificiality in every gesture, every thought, every feeling, all merely reactions, products of habits shaped over the years, of unexamined beliefs about myself and the world. And in that moment, when I see that the ego is not something stable or truly mine, a wave of dissolution washes over me, losing a refuge, losing all footholds, losing even the concept of who I am. an immense emptiness emerges, not as fear, but as a vast space I had never known before. In that space, all definitions of me fall away. No one left to be praised or criticized. No one right or wrong. No one striving to prove anything. Only stillness remains, a pure emptiness where all roles have ended, and I am no one at all. I realize that letting go of the ego is not the loss of oneself, but a return to oneself, a return to freedom, a return to the original presence, unbound by any image or expectation. And in that moment, I understand that the ego is merely an illusion, and when the illusion dissolves, what remains is serenity, vastness, and freedom. In the stillness of the present moment, I am no one, no longer a name, no longer a role, no longer bound by any definition. I am not the speaker, the thinker, or the doer. All notions of myself dissolve, giving way to a pure presence, untouched by any concept. In this state, there is no need to become anyone, no need to prove anything, no need to achieve any goal. I am simply here, a flicker of light in the vast ocean of space and time. There is no longer a boundary between myself and the universe, between the self and the world outside. Everything becomes hazy, yet profoundly clear. Each breath is no longer an act of inhaling or exhaling, but emerging into the invisible rhythm of life itself. Each moment is no longer part of a linear flow of time, but a still point, eternal and complete. I feel a strange freedom in this surrender. Freedom from all expectations, freedom from all worries, freedom even from myself. There is no one left to compare, nothing left to hold on to. In this pure presence, I see the world as if for the first time, without labels, without judgments, without attachments. Everything simply is. A falling leaf, a gentle breeze, a distant bird song, all are equal. All are precious in their own way. Nothing needs to change. Nothing needs to be achieved. I realize that in this state of pure being, everything is already whole, already complete. Life does not need me to paint it with colors or make it different. I and the world are no longer separate. I am the breath of the universe, the heartbeat of this vastness. And I know, in this moment, I have come home.